Skokun United going out, Mamelodi Sundowns going out of the Carling knockout, as well as the most successful team in the history of the tournament, Kaizer Chiefs, crashing out of the Carling knockout, which then tells us what is going on. Explain it. Why did the teams that are so favored, so high up on the log table, crash out of the Carling knockout? That's my question for you. Start giving me the answers. How was it that the big boys, some of those big boys, get knocked out of the Carling knockout? What were the reasons for those results in an exciting weekend worth of football? Now, getting to what's happening here in studio, let me tell you a little bit about that. Matthew Booth is back. Matt, nice holiday mid-season. Nice of you to join us again on a Monday. How are you?
I just needed a break from the two of you, really. So, did the trick.
You're looking more grey in that 1 week that you've been away, though.
Exactly. I need more holiday.
However, maybe you have an answer to the question I just asked the viewers. What, in your opinion, has been the reason for the big boys, some of them, and the majority of them, crashing out in this Carling knockout in the last 16 stage?
I don't think anything's really changed. I think it's just generally cup football. We've seen this time and time again. Every season there's been surprises. I think Sundowns, who you're probably talking about, they've only won it 4 times.
Yeah, but they're the second most successful team. Like, not only is relative. Chiefs have won it 13 times. Sundowns are the second most successful team in the Carling knockout.
Yeah, the way that they've dominated in comparison with regards to the Premier League, you would have thought they would have won it on more occasions. But that, for me, just shows, cup football is a different beast.
Okay, so maybe, should I rephrase it then? And Pomoza, let me bring you in here. The bold and the beautiful, he's here, and he's going to give you his experience as well and his tactics and trades. Maybe let me rephrase the question to say, the informed teams in the league have crashed out when it comes to the Carling knockout. What's the explanation for that? And our viewers at home can also add to that question.
I think I'd love to keep it simple. And by keeping it simple is, in cup games, you don't score goals, you don't go through. Sundowns did not score goals in their game. That's why they're out. Kaizer Chiefs did not score goals in their game. That's why they're out. Skokun opened the scoring. Even though it was a handball, they opened the scoring. Then in cup games, if you don't score goals, then you can still proceed via penalties.
But you don't get 3 points in the league if you don't score goals, right? And they were getting 3 points.
But
those
that's what I'm
clubs are
saying.
getting 3 points. Sundowns are getting 3 points. Chiefs are getting 3 points.
In the league, you can get points without scoring.
But not 3.
Yeah, but you can get points without scoring. But in a cup game, if you don't score, you still have a second opportunity. The second opportunity is penalties. They failed when it got to that stage of the game in penalties, both teams. That we're speaking about, the so-called big teams, the on-form top teams, but also Skokun couldn't manage the game after taking the lead. And that's some of the things that we'll need to look at.
Plus, I think in league football, you can always rectify it the following week. Whereas cup football, you wake up with a certain amount of nervousness when you come into a knockout tournament.
All right, there you go. What do you think? The guys are giving you the perspectives. I want yours. Hashtag SSDisky is the place to do that. Now let's talk a little bit about the man of the matches. Now, there were Carling knockout games, 8 of them, and we try to give you our man of the week. Let's see if we can justify a performance here that is the best and maybe stands above all the others in the matches that you saw, that you voted the man of the match for in the Carling knockout. And I know there are some good nominations there. Who stands out for you when you look at these players and the 8 games that we had in terms of being your man of the week?
I think I'll have to start with, it's a little bit unfair on the supporters that are voting for the man of the match, because it ends at 70 or 75.
80, I think they increased it, but yes, it was 70, then they increased it to 80 minutes.
It was 70, but now games are decided sometimes on extra time. Games are decided on penalties. And you have already made your decision earlier on.
70 minutes, what were you doing for 70 minutes if you were not showing up?
No, Mamela, I'm just saying, when I look at the list, I still see the king himself. I'm talking about the king, Chipezeze.
Oh, wow.
No, Mamela.
How many goals? He considered 2 goals in that game. Okay.
Last season, you got man of the match in every game in the Carling knockout. And that's why I'm saying the king is back.
He might be back.
King Chipezeze started the competition well. He's one of those that is man of the match.
Yeah, but he conceded 2 goals.
man of the match. Maybe it could have been more.
So already out
Maybe
of the running. He's out of my running for
Yes.
man of the week. I'm sorry. Extra time man of the week, it can't be him. Who's in the running for you?
William Keeper.
Only one man. Only one man.
We goalkeeper considered two.
Only one man for me. That's Kaba. Hat-trick man from right back. Not only did he contribute attacking wise, but defensively won 12 duels at right back. Had a good pass percentage accuracy from an accuracy point of view. Whenever he did venture forward, he was fantastic as well. But I mean, a hat-trick for him. There's only one guy to talk about there, I feel.
That's a good shout. I mean, Durban City's Kaba there, hat-trick. Yeah, he stands out amongst that list there.
No, when you look at the facts, I was just joking with Bazeze. But when you look at the facts, you look at Kaba, he scores 3 goals, and he also had to come back in that game because after he scored the first one, then there's a penalty against him that he's deemed to have handled the ball. In that instance, then a penalty. Another player can just go back into his shell, but Kaba says, I've caused a penalty for my team. Yes, I scored earlier on. I need to venture forward and try and assist the team offensively. And he goes on to score a hat-trick. So for me, I'll support Matthew and say, extra time, player of the week. He's the one.
There you go. Congratulations, Brother Kaba. The guys are unanimous on that performance. And later on in the show, we'll show you the performance. We'll show you how the right back for Durban City finds the net on 3 occasions in open, there was set piece as well, but essentially in open play. Right, so now let's take a look at our 30-second strike. Now, this is every week we give you our views on a moment that we thought stood out above all the other moments. We get you at home on a hashtag SSDiski to give us who you think and back us up, I give you a moment, you think, yeah, Thomas, as usual, your moment is the best. And I go through the list and I start with the one that I think is not, and then the next one is better, and then me last, usually, because I come with the last moment. But traditionally, first,
He's back. He's back.
is Matthew Booth.
There's no ways that you can beat myself and Pomozo. But nevertheless, it's going to be very difficult to beat Pomozo's moment because
it's not.
I was in the studio on Saturday with him, and he put it on the group as soon as it happened. So I can't compete, but I can try. And for me, Kaba's third goal.
Third goal.
Yeah, which concluded his hat-trick. As a package, obviously his hat-trick, but certainly the third goal was very good. It was basically the Magawana and Fisile Kaba show because the set piece from Magawana was superb. His third goal was at the back post. He had a lot of work to do. This is not...
So this is the wrong one.
Yeah, this is the wrong one, but... what Kaba did so well was his heading ability. The first one from the back post, back across the keeper. And then the third one, which I'm talking about, which was equally as good. But the set piece from Magawana was just as good, It had very little to do with, he didn't have much to do with the header. And like I said, during the game as well, he was great in attacking and his defensive duties.
We've sabotaged you there because we haven't even had a chance to look at your moment. So... you're going to have to go with Matthew's description there, and apologies for that one. However, now comes the decision that needs to be made, because Pomozo and myself, both feeling that the moment we've chosen is going to be the moment, the 30-second strike.
Yeah, the problem is yours is always the feeling.
Is the feeling?
Yeah, you are always feeling like your moment is the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, though, because I'm a nice guy, I'm going to let you go last, but I'm going to sell my moment.
Okay.
I'm going to give the viewers at home what they want and convince them that this is the 30-second strike of the week, and I am going with the 40-year-old Washington Arubi doing what seems so rarely in football. I looked at the statistics. Goalkeepers who save 2 or 3 penalties, that happens once every 15 games. Washington Arubi does it in this one. Allende, Pasadine, Lubusa. He saves those penalties, then he takes the winning penalty, and then he knocks out a club of the size of Mamelodi Sundowns. That is a 30-second strike, never to be forgotten. When is the last time you saw it happen? When? Tell me. When did you last see a keeper score, save 3 penalties, and then score the winner? No, that's a 30-second strike. I'm convinced. And tell us on hashtag SSDiski. Now you can go.
He convinced himself, Matthew.
Pomodzo. Now you can tell me about where the players got all the space in the world to unleash a shot from.
No, but why describe it? What where's that? Where's that?
No, I'm just setting it up.
Okay, so set it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the space in the world, no pressure. Shoot, and it hits the back of the net. Tell me.
Azokushaya amantombazane. When you look at the bold moment of the week, it has to be none other than Captain Fantastic. He wins the ball in his own box, that is in Mbokazi. He drives forward. In the goal, Yamanaka, yetulu atopaka supportera, za Orlando Pirates, zichiko rasa, or bola yo Romambo, and Nepal. What a strike by Mbokazi. He's a special talent. The national team coach, Hugo Bruce, has described him as a special talent that needs to leave our shores at the end of the season. But for him, when the club needs goals and they can't find goals on the day, he has to win the ball in his own half, drive forward, and unleashes a goal like that. That's the bold moment of the week. The goal, Yamanakana.
Matthew, I'm going to give you the job because we didn't get your moment properly here to decide in studio, just amongst us, to guide the viewers amongst the two that you've just seen.
Centre back union, Tom. What else can I say? That was and we'll chat about it perhaps later, but in actual fact, he had been put on the ground a couple of times, 2 or 3 times by Saile. And so normally, again, to your point, normally a player would go into his shell and just get back to the basics. But instead, he goes and does something of that nature. It was just a sign of great maturity and audaciousness.
What a way to win a game as well. It is an unbelievable strike and a very difficult one to vote against. However, let's now get straight into the action. And in the midweek, there were encounters. Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates having to make up the ground in terms of matches when it comes to the Betway Premiership. They were involved in African competition, so that was one of the reasons they're slightly behind in terms of the games. And Orlando Pirates had TS Galaxy in their first encounter in that midweek. And in that game, 2-0 is the final scoreline. However, there's a moment that's controversial. Penalties pointed to the spot. A lot of fans feeling it was a little bit easy, Booth, in terms of the contact that happens when Mahopa goes down.
Yeah, so initially when I saw it live, I thought this was shoulder to shoulder.
Oh, when Nemtajela goes down.
Yeah, that's right. Mbunjana on Nemtajela. So initially when I saw it live, I thought this was shoulder to shoulder, nothing wrong. The referee got it wrong. But when you look at it again, perhaps from this angle, you can see that when defenders go shoulder to shoulder, they've got to first of all take into consideration height of your opponent, and you cannot, the shoulder cannot be in the back of the player, because that turns out just to be...
Because it's not shoulder to shoulder.
It's not shoulder to shoulder.
It's shoulder to back.
Exactly, and that for me, looking at that again, I think the referee got that spot on.
Now keep this in mind, Mahopa takes this penalty. He scores. I think there's a hand on the ball a little bit when you look at it. There's another look at how the incident was given, but it's also Umudzo. Maybe the reason he gets to take a penalty on the weekend. He'd scored midweek.
I have to give credit to Greg Atafia. What they did well, TS Galaxy, was delay the restart of the game as much as possible. Because they wait, they delay, the keeper takes off the gloves, because they're waiting for the analysts to tell them where Mahopa is going to go. And everybody says, everybody at the stadium is looking at the bench of TS Galaxy, and they're saying to the goalkeeper, left of the goalkeeper. And Mahopa had pressure to say, do I still go to the left of the goalkeeper or do I change? He decides to change, and Tape gets a hand to it, unlucky not to make the save.
Is he the best penalty taker at Orlando Pirates, or was this maybe that he hadn't got off the mark yet this season, and this was the opportunity to say, listen, you're the man up front, you're the number 9, here's your first opportunity to get a goal, get it from the spot?
I don't think it's always the best penalty takers that take. It's the man that feels confident at that moment. Because the best penalty takers, sometimes, they even shy away from the responsibility when it happens. I don't know for sure what happened in those discussions, but Mahopa was confident enough to put the ball on the spot and get the goal. He even did it away from home in the Champions League for Orlando Pirates when it was a pressure moment, and he took the penalty away from home in the Champions League and scored. So that shows that he's a player that is... he can take responsibility and has confidence in his abilities.
I think if Tito or Mabasa had been on the field, they probably would have been ahead of him. But normally what happens, Thomas, is the coach will say to you, okay, this is number 1 penalty taker, number 2, number 3, in the changing room beforehand. So everybody knows, and it's all clear. if number one is not on the field, number two will take it, etc. But if a player grabs the ball in the game and is confident enough to take the penalty, it's very difficult to wrestle that ball away from that player.
Now, as much as the lead was taken in this match by Orlando Pirates, Galaxy then, especially in the dying moments, asked some questions that would have had Bucks on the edge of their seat. 85th minute, watch this one here. And Keita, he's in. Needed a save.
Yeah, Didi Jona with the almost assist, great through ball, through the legs, past Mukazi. Keita almost taking advantage. Didi Jona, for me, from a consistency point of view, has been one of the standout players in the league, to be honest. And if he continues in this vein, it'll bode well for the team and for himself.
And then it's still 1-0. It's the 92nd minute. And then here, Chain comes out, doesn't get there. Mlambo beating into that header.
I think not the best of technique from Sipho Chain. He's waiting for the ball to come to him. He's not going towards the ball, and that's the mistake that he makes. And Mlambo is alert, he's aware, he attacks that ball and meets it at the highest point. I think he saved his blushes there, Sipho Chain, because that's a goalkeeping error, because you're waiting for the ball to come to you. You should be attacking the ball, meeting at the highest point, and using the advantage of using your hands. Mlambo should have scored.
Imagine one of those two goes in. Does the next moment happen? Do Orlando Pirates make the game safe with Mabasa's goal? You got the tactics and trends on that one.
When you look at the tactics and the trends of the goal that we're going to speak about, it's about movement of the ball. And now, but when we start, I want to show the appreciation of Otto. He's pointing at Relay. Mabasa scores behind him, but he's pointing at Relay. He continues and says, jump on my back, because you have done all the work. This is what Otto does to appreciate Relay. Why is he appreciating Relay? Look at the space that Otto wants to use in this instance. We always talk about a ball-playing goalkeeper. Look at the pass that he's going to play to be able to find Dion Otto. I'm spiraling Relay Mufokeng. He's in between the lines in this moment. He's anticipating a ball to come from his senior statesman and in Dion Otto. When that knockdown comes in, look at the space that Relay Mufokeng is using in this moment. The knockdown coming from Dion Otto finds who? It finds Relay Mufokeng. What he does well, he attracts three players. The attention goes to Relay Mufokeng. He has already scanned. He knows what is happening behind him. That is the space that Dion Otto has recognized. I'm going to spiral Otto in this moment because he's going to go on his bike. He's going to go on that run. Relay Mufokeng doesn't really have to look. He knows where Dion Otto is going. That flick over the top to be able to find Otto. The hand of God is on Mabasa. He's going to go on and score the goal in this moment. When you move forward, look at what Ndamane does. He looks at the ball, he's attracted to the ball. He loses his marker in Mabasa. When that ball is played in by Dion Otto, I'm giving it a pause here. Look at Stab at the goalkeeper. He had moved past his near post, so it makes it a little bit easier for Mabasa to be able to finish in that moment. Those are the tactics and the trends, Thomas. The ability to recognize space and use the space, the movement and the understanding of Otto and Relay Mufokeng, great scanning.
You said one thing that stood out for me there. He doesn't have to look. How do you get to a place where you don't have to even look for your teammate? You know he's on his bike and he's going.
I think he scanned beforehand. So what he does well there is his first touch with his right foot disguises his actual intention. So he brings it in the opposite direction. The Galaxy players fall for it. And then on the swivel, he's played that neat little ball in with his left foot. And then there's still a lot to do. Otto's on the run, full speed. And then he has to slow his feet down nicely to get a nice little lob ball into Mavas, and he's always going to finish that. To TS's credit, that scoreline kind of flattered Pirates. That was very late in the game. There was a penalty. They held their own, although they didn't create many chances.
But Matthew, before we go, I just want to say, you look at the age of Otto. You look at the overlapping run that he's making. It's the 93rd minute. He still has that energy to then still burst forward and look for the ball in behind. It says a lot about the conditioning of that Orlando Pirates team, or the conditioning of Dion Otto to say, at that age, he's still going up and down 93 minutes.
I said on Saturday when we did the game, he's one of the most, I don't think he's given enough credit. If you look at him over the last 5 seasons and more, for the energy that he brings down the left-hand side and having successfully converted him from a left winger into that left back position. He's been great.
Maybe you guys didn't hear. There are those who call him, and that engine that he has. They call it the Hotomatic. So then that should give you the answer that you need there. He's a Hotomatic guy, guys. However, then Pirates from that one go on to the Carling knockout. And now against Swelele, similar start to the game. Penalty, and this time it's Mahopa who's the man who goes down in the box. Konyani. Matthew, is there enough?
Definitely a pen. Again, a neat little reverse pass in, which was very clever. And once Mahopa gets the wrong side of Konyani, or in his case, the right side, there's always going to be an entanglement.
I was looking for where the touch was here. I thought it was a hand. It's not really.
It's the legs.
It's the legs.
Yeah,
and maybe on the thigh level. It's not even feet.
Yeah, I think he just gets clipped. We'll see it better here in the slow motion, just as he gets the wrong side of him, just there.
On the thigh, somewhere higher up, sticking out the foot. Referee has no doubt. Mahopa gets to take this because he'd scored midweek. Now he back again. And he's changed his spot. He went the other side where you said, no, research, what is fantastic. He goes that side. Now he changes his spot.
Now you look at the pressure that he must have had on his shoulders, Thomas. Because I watched the midweek game where Cheers Galaxy was saying, from research, he goes to the left of the goalkeeper.
And the keeper got a hand.
Then he changes and went to the right of the goalkeeper and scored. So over the weekend, he says, I'm going to the spot that I know I'm comfortable in. He puts the ball down. He waits for the goalkeeper to commit. And one thing that I like is he has his head up all the time, waiting for the goalkeeper to commit. As soon as the goalkeeper commits, he puts it opposite. But he opens up his foot a little bit too much. And that's why it is the upright. The goalkeeper had gone the wrong way. Unlucky in that moment, but unlucky doesn't count.
Now, this is a game that was, made by small moments. Yes, the goal is fantastic from Mbogazi, but there's a save that no one's really talking about. That Chain makes a minute before that if he doesn't make it, suddenly this game is very different. And here it is. We take a look at how Ohizu absolutely outruns everyone here, gets around everyone, gets in the box, and then needs something special.
Yeah, Hughes's come on. And for Chain, the angle is still very tight, but he's still going to make a very sharp save with his foot. He's got to get down to the ground. And how often have we seen, opportunities missed, and then the very next minute, it's a reversal, and you end up regretting those missed opportunities. And again, cup football, you can't afford to do that.
All right, so I'm staying with you, Matthew, because let's talk about it. The goal that scored. Mbogazi is absolute rocket. You're a chairman of the Centre Backs Union of South Africa. What does the centre back do so well?
Well, I would never have attempted this myself. I probably would have pulled the hamstring. But here, what he does so well is retain possession against Ohizu, who's come on, fresh legs. And he's able to retain that ball. Potsani, for me, I think could have closed that space that he ran into. But I think Potsani was guessing that Ohizu might be in behind Mbokazi. So he then, and I said it at half-time, I don't know if you remember, Pumuza, I said, one of his strong characteristics is driving into the space. They have to negate that. They didn't do that in this instance. From the angle from behind him, if you watch the trajectory of that ball, you would actually think that it's going to end up in row Z. But what he's done is he's hit it with the flipper of his left foot, the elastic part of your foot. So it's caused a bit of topspin. And you just need a little bit of topspin. Trust in your technique, and it's up and over. And it's given Tulu absolutely no chance whatsoever.
I'm sure, Thomas, when he takes that shot, you are thinking, what are you doing? Because he has done it for Bafana, went on that run, drives, shoots, it goes to Rosette. He has done it at Pirates where he intercepts, he goes forward, he takes it, it goes to Rosette. And for me, for him at that moment, after he wins the ball here, to say, I need a teammate to give the ball to. Where's the black shirt that I can play the ball to? He says that he doesn't see black shirts. And you look at the clock, it's the critical phase of the game. And he says, I'm just a generational talent. They don't come every year. They're such talent, Thomas. And for him to hit it with such swerve on target at that time of the game when he's supposed to be tired and he unleashes that, unstoppable.
Samkelo Tulu in goal. Nothing he could do other than just watch that go into the top corner. Now, when you look at the celebration there, you see Coach Wadu. He's outrunning the players, sprinting to the corner flag to be with them there. And in the game, he showed that he could bring himself on as well, if needed, because there's a touch that he gave that went sensational. And I thought, if you missed it, fans around the country have been talking about Coach Wadu. Long ball coming to the coach, chest, Tata. Man, another centre-back. Coach Wadu, a centre-back, bring it down his chest, doesn't let it hit the ground.
I'm not sure there's actually anything wrong with his arm. I think that's just a good luck charm, perhaps, but no, that's great technique. Great player. I used to watch him when he was at Fulham. A big admirer of, the way he broke down play. So, yeah, he clearly hasn't lost his touch.
No, I must actually ask Matthew, or maybe agree with you. That run when he's going there and he's using his arms.
The robotic arm.
So there you go. Tell us what you think of the touch if you missed it, and tell us what you think in terms of if it was your team that went out in the Carling knockout, what happened if your team stayed in it? What made you happy about the way that the team played? Hashtag SSDiski. And a lot of you are saying Mbogazi is your extra time 30-second strike moment of the week. Should I play you Arubi's saves again, maybe one more time? Do you need to see them again? We'll talk about that after the break. Stay with us. Encounter was the match that they played 1-1 draw against Amazulu. Now, this game had so much in it for us to get through, so let's get straight into how things played out. And we start out here with the opportunities that Kaizer Chiefs made. 11 shots, 71% of the possession, and they just found a goalkeeper in Johnson who refused.
Yeah, Johnson was great and kept Amazulu in the game, particularly in the first half. Coming off his line very well in these instances, making himself big, denying them the angle. And he was great for them. Then
the penalty spot is pointed to. The incident has us scratching our heads, guys, and maybe you guys can give me more insight into this. Penalties pointed to, handball is the decision.
When you look at the law or the handball law, if it comes off your body and your hand does not move towards the ball, it shouldn't be handball. And when you look at that moment, it comes off his own body that is move to his hand, and his hand does not move towards the ball. That's why I'm saying it shouldn't have been given as a pen in this instance, but it gets given as a pen, but Kaizer Chiefs does not get to convert the penalty.
Well, let's take a look at it and maybe keep in mind what the referee might have seen from their angle. There, boom. Does the angle maybe play optical illusion on him?
I suspect that the linesman gave this decision, so I don't think you can blame the referee. You'll see that the Amazulu players all run to the linesman, so they have a similar suspicion. Later on in this instance, you'll see them all drift across to him as if he made the decision. And the linesman didn't have the perfect angle to see the fact that the ball had come off his rib cage first and then onto his arm. So officials, I think, jointly get this wrong.
We see the yellow card given. It's going to Stellies because he's protesting vehemently. It has come off his body. It has gone up onto the arm. But if you see that from behind, you're not going to see that off the body.
Yeah.
If you're the assistant referee, there is no way you see it off the body. And then, penalty. It isn't found the back of the net. Chiefs could have been one up here. Lilepo, the taker, on the weekend in the Carling, he's actually taken off when it comes to the penalties. Is it because he missed this one?
Well, not if we coach a couple of days before, Umutu Messi penalty. We am saying about, you're going to take the winning penalty for us. He had a good game in the cup game, Thomas. Take nothing away for Lilepo. But you could see that clearly Kaizer Chiefs had a plan for the penalty shootout, because they bring off certain players that have done well during the week in terms of those penalties to come and take those penalties. One worked out, the other one did not work out, but unlucky for Lilepo not to get it in the net.
So there's the first opportunity that went by the wayside for Kaizer Chiefs. Then the ball finds the back of the net. We do see the back of the net hit, but Mayo is the player that was trending all over the place for the fact that he touched the ball.
Yeah, look, this was very, very unfortunate. This is a great ball-in, by the way. This is the goal. Modi with the assist down the left-hand side. What Shaba does so well here is that he realizes that he doesn't have to swing his full foot at it, forcefully. He just has to let the ball run into him. And he just has to get connection because he understands that he wants to loop it over Johnson. He doesn't want to curl it hard in and lose any technique there. And that was really classy from him.
But I think we need to give credit to Shabalala. It's a difficult chance to finish. But for him to change his body profile and open up his body and not go for power, just to lob it over the goalkeeper, it was a difficult finish, but he does well to do it.
I was ahead of myself there a little bit, so let's talk about the goal that was disallowed and why it was disallowed and why there was such an outcry from football fans around the decision for Khanyisa Mayo to touch the ball. He's chipped, as Mordi, it's going in.
Again, I mean, you've got to admire the build-up here from Shaba, who's playing in that 10-8 position. That neat little reverse pass with the outside of his right foot is perfection. And then there's that neat little chip over.
Mayo's offside.
Yeah,
he's way ahead of Mordi, who's chipped the ball.
Yeah, and he should have just left it to run into the goal. So 95% his fault, but that 5% as a striker, and I say this lightly, but that 5% as a striker, like, that's what you meant to do, right?
Because, Pomozo, you were that. And the stat that says 2 goals in 2 games, it looks nice. And that's what would have happened there had Mayo not been offside. It would have been 2 goals in 2 games in his opening 2 games for Kaizer Chiefs.
I would understand if there was any danger of the ball being cleared. I would understand if the ball was going towards the pole. Maybe it will hit the pole and then you have to make sure. But now, Modi has done so much work. The build-up is excellent. Now, Modi has done everything to get the ball over the goalkeeper. And for Mayo, in that instance, I thought he should have just left the ball because it's going in anyway. So he decides to take a touch, and he was not aware that he was in an offside position, and therefore the goal can stand.
Let's say the goal stands, right? Let's say the goal stands, he wasn't offside. You're a former striker. What do you say to Modi in the change room? Forget now, because that situation, it's clearly in Modi's court to say, I want here with Wenza. But let's say if it goes offside and it's going in, and then you essentially tap it in again. What do you say to your teammate?
2 out of 2, boy. 2 out of 2. Yeah, Shisa. That's what you say. And then you always have fun. I'm not saying it in an arrogant way, but as players, you always have fun about such situations. To say, hey man, I'm on the roll now. I've got 2 in 2. And that's what he was looking for, to try and boost his confidence. I would understand why he was so eager to put the ball head. He'd been on a dry spell. He's not on a dry spell. I don't understand the desperation.
First game. No, but he's just arrived. I need to.
We play and then Foster. I would understand, but there was no need there.
Mayo then had an impact against Stellenbosch. Let's move on to the Carling knockout, and this was against Stellenbosch. And keep talking about Khanyisa Mayo, because he comes into this one now, obviously on the back of what has taken place and the disallowed goal and the fact that it was only a draw against Amazulu midweek, and he comes out guns blazing.
Yeah, and when you take that sort of criticism, you just stay away from social media. You try and block out the noise and try to get back into the game. And he was very positive, so credit to him. Again, Oscarine coming in, second choice goalkeeper in a cup. Again, very, very sharp. Came off his line, did the business for Stellenbosch.
If I'm naughty, I'm going to say Mayo injured Masuluke, which then brought Sage Stevens on, who made the penalties. I was naughty. I'm just saying, I'm looking there. The injury happens with that tackle there, that Mayo's knee goes to the head of Masuluke, then Sage Stevens, who ends up being the hero. He comes on.
I think concussion for Masuluke, because that knee, the force, the contact between Mayo and Masuluke, you could see that he was devastated. He wanted to continue and finish the game, but unfortunately had to be served because of concussion. Then in comes Sage Stevens, who comes on to be the hero. He's the number 1. He's the goalkeeper of Stellenbosch. But for me, Masuluke, given an opportunity, he has not had a lot of game time. Maybe it would have been better, Masuluke in goals.
Then everything changed. So no goals are scored. There's even a red card that takes place. It's clear, 2 yellow cards. We understand why Mokobodi has been sent off. Then comes the tactical part now. In extra time, we start to see changes being made. It starts out with Lelepo. 3 minutes to go to the penalty shootout. You need to come off. Morris, you're coming in. Lepo, you missed midweek. We're putting in somebody. Is that what's being said? That we trust more?
Well, at this point in the game, you assuming that they're doing it for the penalties. But there could have been an issue with Lelepo. So let's just assume that it was for the penalties. I think that was a mistake when it was in reference to Morris, because he hasn't had much game time. So I wouldn't understand their sort of thinking in that regard if that was the case.
Then we see another substitution. You can understand. Aidan McCarthy scores the penalty against Kobu Score that sends Chiefs to the Confederations Cup. As much as Mteto didn't want to come off, I thought to myself, does Mteto want a penalty? Is that? I mean, there's no time on the clock now. Does he want to take one? Is that why he's saying, listen, no, leave me in here? Because there's no game left. Except I'm a penalty.
I don't want to speak about the football. I want to speak about the plan. To say, as an individual, as Pumuto, I can be bigger than the team. The team has a plan. And the plan for the team is that when we go to penalties, we're going to bring in McCarthy. We're going to bring in Morris. We're going to bring in Vuma. That is going to come in and be part of those penalties. That is the plan of the team. But as an individual,
yes,
I cannot. This is what I don't agree with.
Says,
this is.
Baxi Oza, Vuma comes in. Twari says, I'm okay.
Listen, the other thing is that I'll go to the last game that I remember Vuma in goals. It was against Milford. They scored all 5 of their penalties against Vuma. But even though that was not the case to say he's a good penalty stopper, mentally, do you know what mentally does to Stellenbosch players when you see, hey, this one is coming, he's a specialist for penalties? Already it works on the mind. But then the problem that I have is when players go against the plan of the club or the plan of the technical team. That's what I don't agree with.
You just told me earlier in the conversation, guys, that the coach will say 1, 2, 3, you are the penalty takers. You just told me that in this show. But when the player picks up the ball and says, I feel good, I'm going to take it, the plan is out the window. The feel-good player takes it. Here's the feel-good player, and that's Ntwari. I'm the feel-good guy. I feel I'm good.
Iplani?
Aniti, you just told me the coach said penalties, the plan is this.
I said Jimini,
No, why is it a different plan when it's a strike and a penalty and a penalty?
And the plan for penalties.
He saves the first one. So the plan has worked perfectly. Ntwari has done the job. He saves the first one. All it needs now is everyone else to score.
Yeah, look, it leaves me very unsettled when I see coaches making changes specifically for penalties just before. I don't think it works generally. The only advantage for Vuma coming on is perhaps he's had more game time in South Africa and perhaps knows what the penalty taker is going to do more so than in Ntwari.
Guys, there's one thing that I didn't know that I learned from this situation here. And I don't know if you guys at home also knew this. Did you know you can actually refuse to come off? Like, it's actually not compulsory for a player to come off if the board goes up and your number is on it. You can say, I'm playing. Because when I asked the referees about this, the explanation was that the substitution is only complete when the player comes in and the player going off crosses the line to go off. Other than that, there is no requirement for the player on the field to go off. He literally is permitted and can say, I'm okay, I'm staying, I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, I'm just saying, he was in his rights as a footballer.
We've seen it many times before, but then the player has to face possible disciplinary measures afterwards.
No, I'm just saying that I didn't know you could. I thought when your number's up, it's a must go to Pumi. The game can't start again. And you have to. But I didn't know. Now I know. You can actually say no. And Serdan, carry on.
Yeah, I'll go back to my initial statement. You can't go against the plan. You can't go against the plan of the coaches and the technical team. You must respect your coaches. You're taking me to another. You're taking me to another angle.
You must saved one.
No,
the very first one. And once he's done that, let me tell you statistically, goalkeepers statistically, because I looked it up, they only save 1 penalty per shootout, right? And he's done that. He's done statistically what is needed. He saved the first one. Now it just needs the 5 Chiefs players were coming after him to score their penalties, and Chiefs go through to the next round. The keeper's done his job.
The problem is that you're setting a precedent, Thomas. You're not obeying your boss, the guy who's in charge. So you've got to be very careful if you get on that road, because then what happens with the next instruction? How are the other players going to react?
I don't know.
So that's a danger.
For me,
you guys still haven't gone back to you were very clear to me with the penalty situation. 1, 2, 3 is the order. But I feel good. I pick up the ball and I say 1, 2, and 3 in Mangangan. I'm taking the penalty.
I'm not saying I didn't say that was right. I'm saying that there's very little that you can do to take that ball away from him. There's very little that they could have done to take Ntwari off the field. You can't take him off.
Unless you call the cops, and you can't do that.
But for me, the concern was leaving the responsibility to Matthews. To Tashrik. That
penalty number 5, Morris.
Yeah, penalty number 5. He has not scored yet for Chiefs. In the 11 or 12 games that he has played, he has not yet scored for Chiefs. You give him this huge responsibility. He has not had game time so far this season.
No one asked him to make 1,000 passes. It's 12 yards. The goalkeeper has to stand on his line. Literally all the advantages with the person taking the kick. No, I'm saying the kick. That's all you have to do.
11 games, he's yet to score for Chiefs. You give him such responsibility. He has not been playing regularly at Kaizer Chiefs. You give him this responsibility. It added pressure.
You know what I looked at, right? And I wanted to again look at how difficult is it to score a penalty, right? Because I wanted to understand this. So I looked at some stats, and in the Premier League, in the UK, 2023-2024 season, 7% of penalties were saved. That's like 80-something% of, almost over 90% of the penalties were scored.
Mate,
so there is almost no excuse to not score.
What Thomas is saying is great, but just do the research on what we're speaking about, which is the local game.
It's a penalty.
No, local.
It says that players score penalties way more than
we are learning the homework for just telling our stats where
what's different here?
No, stealing a PSL.
What's different here?
No, stealing a PSL.
No, but tell me what's different. But the difference in Ilang.
The condition, not the same.
Well, it's also, I think also with regards to goalkeepers in the EPL, the physical profile, they've got a big wingspan, they're taller.
But they also are beaten all the time.
Yeah, but therefore they're less agile. Whereas in South Africa, we have more shot stoppers. What I would term, like Sage Stevens for me, is a typical shot stopper. Ronwen Williams, shot stopper. And those types of goalkeepers are more agile and can get across their line a bit more.
All right. But had it all worked out in that penalty shootout, it would have been genius in terms of the coaching staff is concerned. Tell us your views. What do you think about the conversation that's just taken place there and how it played out in that penalty shootout between Kaizer Chiefs and Stellies? Stellies go through. Fantastic performance for them, and they're in through. Maybe this kickstarts their season. Moving on to what happened. Durban City against Polokwane City. Matthew picking Gaba's performance in this game, and now we'll actually get to see the moment that you picked. So when we get to goal number 3 for Gaba, then you'll take us through that. Yeah, the game had everything.
On the 3rd minute, Magoana had put in a ball which created absolute havoc. So Polokwane should have really recognized the fact set pieces was going to be an issue, and it was really the Magoana Gaba show. They had Gaba with that 3rd goal to make it his hat-trick. He did very well to jump and get that ball down onto the goal line, giving Guerra no chance.
So there we have it, and Durban City through against Polokwane City. Gavin Hunt moving his side on, moving on to what happened in this one. And here's a game that you maybe did think that maybe Galaxy, might have way too much for Orbit, but it goes to extra time, and then it needs this. Is it a mistake from Sabelo Nkomo in goal as he comes flying out, and then Ditejana finds the assist for the new Algerian striker, Mediwami, to score.
Mediwami takes the goal, but a lot of work is done by Ditejani. He has been excellent this season to watch, getting goals, providing assists, and he supplies a very good assist for the Algerian men to be able to finish in that instance.
All the way to extra time, did you expect that?
No, not at all. The way that PS have been playing, to be honest, their last results against Pirates didn't go their way, but they've been absolutely fantastic. Didejani pulling the strings with some great attacking
Arrows
players.
pulling them apart the other day.
Yeah, that's right. And that you could have put your head down there, but they've showed great mental fortitude.
So there we have it, and Galaxy against essentially squeaking through on that one in extra time. And then this was Golden Arrows Kukuni, a game that you look at it and you say, one of the informed teams in the Premiership crashes out against Golden Arrows. Bradley Grobler was always going to be the danger man.
Yeah, but one of the few decisions from the fans I didn't agree with, perhaps, was his Man of the Match award, because in actual fact he missed 3 opportunities in this first half, which on any other day Bradley would have stuck away, and they could have been ahead. And I think Tinkler did complain about post-match, but what he does so well here is he comes back from an offside position, backs into the defensive line, and then this ball in is everything. And although it comes off his hand, I think Pele, the left back, had his arm around him, and referee didn't pick this up. Clear handball, shouldn't have stood, but he did well to get into that position.
Even though it shouldn't have stood, would it have been a penalty?
Yeah.
Has Pele done enough? Watch Grobler coming in, watch Pele hanging on.
No, I expected a penalty call. If the handball is being given, then you give the penalty. So they missed the handball, they missed the penalty, and the goal stood.
And a great assist from Mahawa again.
Yeah.
Unbelievable assist there.
Yep.
1-0, and you think to yourself, okay, now this is going to be interesting. It's Kukuni in the lead. What did Mlambo do second half here to turn this into a second half where they find 3 goals?
He got some help from the goalkeeper in Sabata in this instance. I think he should have gathered that. This is a great ball in from Kele to Ndlovu, who was great. He was thorn in their flesh for the entire game. And this is a great cutback. Karosa getting a great goal in there. And again, Sabata making that mistake. It was a bit windy, but he still should have gathered that. That's basics. And an easy tap in to make it 3.
You've got a tactic and a trend from that game.
I'm looking at the tactics and the trends and what Coach Mlambo has brought to this Arrows team. When you roll it and look at it, what you're going to see is that Coach Mlambo has now established 2 10s that Arrows are playing with. And when you look at this instance, I'm spiraling the first 10. That is Mangwele. He's going to go on and score the goal. Ndlovu, next to the ref, is going to go on and give the assist in this instance. They continue to roll the ball. Look at the back 4 for Skokune, well organized, and then we'll move on to the midfield 4, which is well organized. When you look at that space now, you look at now Mangwele saying, yes, they are organized, but I still have space in between the lines. He has got his hands raised up to say, feed the ball into that midfield. I'm spiraling in Ndlovu, who's going to make a delightful run onto the side to be able to receive. He's one of those 2 10s that Mangwele has established. Look at now this Kukune guys all ball watching. They're not aware of the run that Ndlovu is making in distance. That is the space that Ndlovu wants to use. Now Pele is aware of this. This comes from training. He wants to play that ball. Ndlovu wants to go and receive that ball into that channel. That is the movement of inside to outside. That is the space that Mangwele has got now in terms of trying to exploit because of the space in between the lines. The hand of God is on Mangwele. He's going to go on and score the goal in this instance. Look at that delightful cut back. When that ball is cut back, it finds Mangwele in that space in between the lines. Once again, he takes 1 touch to control, and the next one is just placement onto the back of the net. A well-taken goal. Coach Mangwele, we see what you're doing. Playing with 2 10s inside, they start inside, they move outside to create the space, a well-taken goal.
After the break, we explain the inexplicable in football. Marumo Gallants did not have a single shot on target in 120 minutes of football, and they threw to the quarterfinals of the Carling knockout against Mamelodi Sundowns. Find out how that happened. Stay with Extra Time. It's Marumo Gallants, and the numbers tell you 23 shots that Mamelodi Sundowns had, 803 passes they made, 12 corners that they did have, and the score was still 0-0 at the end of the entire play. Even when they went down to 10 men, they were still able to create chances against Gallants, but didn't make it through.
And therefore, you have to give credit to Gallants for their intensity and their defensive display over 120. And they saved their goals for the penalties, Pumozo. And, again, cup football, you don't take your chances. That's what's going to happen.
Let's talk about, first of all, Gallants have done well. They've hung on. They've done the business. 85th minute of the game, we see a red card given. Raicinho, the new man, he gets a red card. He's almost with the first touch on the ball.
Yeah, poor first touch. The ball runs away from him slightly because of that. He lets the ball run across his body. He now has to change orientation of his body. and he sees that the ball is getting away from him. He's trying to turn away from Mlambo in this angle. But what the referee sees is the second slow-mo. That's the slow-mo that the ref sees. He sees that as endangering the opponent. And that's why I think he goes for that red card. He sees that last slow-mo from where he's standing from behind the ref, behind the player, the ref. He's thinking maybe endangering an opponent. That's why maybe he goes for the red card.
Mlambo stays down, referee doesn't hesitate, straight red for you?
Initially, I didn't think it was, but having seen the replays, yes, probably. I feel a lot of sympathy for Rosinho because, as Pomozo said, he's trying to turn outside with the outside of his left foot. But because Mlambo is an aggressive player, he's gone in for the tackle, as he has every right to. He catches him in that manner. My only question was whether there was additional aggressiveness or power into that action. But ultimately, I would probably agree with the referee.
Then the penalty shootout happens, guys. And we can continue the conversation about penalties and keepers and whether you should score and should not score. Washington Arubi said you shouldn't because he's going to save 3 of them. First of all, Allende, Basadine, Libosa. And 2 of them are with the feet.
Oh, that one there from Basidin was probably the save of the round because there's nothing wrong with Basidin's penalty, actually. And it was only because Arubi had guessed right, stretched full length and got a very strong hand to that to save it. And he was superb during the shootout.
My favorite one is the one that he makes for Libusa.
The last one.
For any young goalkeeper watching, if we can play that Libusa one again, is that he makes the save. If he goes off to celebrate, that ball goes into the net. It's a goal.
It's still spinning.
If you can play the Libusa one, if you play the Libusa...
Oh, we can look at that very quickly again. Let's look at those saves again.
Libusa, he makes a great save, but the ball is still spinning.
I didn't notice.
Watch it again. Leangela. If you celebrate,
Pomozo's been watching YouTube. You know, there's a famous one that hits across the line.
Look at this. The Libusa one, right?
Libusa.
He saves it, right? If he goes to the corner flag to celebrate, that ball is going to spin inside.
Spinning backwards. Yeah.
He's going to spin inside. So that's why I'm saying that was the one that I think was a crucial save because you make the save, you go to the fence. By the time you come back, it's in the net.
Arubi then takes the winning penalty and sends his team through. Huge upset. Massive result from Marumo Gallants.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, going back to Rolani, Mokoena, you know, when Marumo was coached by Dan Dance, Dylan Kerr, one of the teams that they were always a little bit nervous about, you know, even back then, was in fact Marumo Gallants.
And just a couple of weeks ago, it was 1-1.
Yeah, because of the way that they play. They don't sit back in a low block. They're willing to play. And that's, you know, they proved today a very good defensive performance, plus that a willingness to play out. Deservedly going through.
All right, so let's move on and have a look at some of the other matches and the goals that went in there. There were plenty of matches that had quite a lot of goals scored in them. Richards Bay Chippa United was one of those, 4-1 scoreline. As you look at the goals, maybe the bigger conversation here has to be that, wow, it's just not happening right now for Chippa. I mean, they've conceded now 4 goals, Matthew. Luke Amel is the new coach, and he's not turning the corner yet.
Well, I go back to sort of Padela and Nyatama, you know, how much time are they given? You know, are you going to treat them differently and why? But certainly, I think the cup they can possibly negate and then perhaps judge the Chippa coach on the league, solely on the league, because ultimately that's your bread and butter and that's where you want to survive.
Knox Mutizwa, he's back. And he gets a brace in this one.
What a finisher in the box. One of the best in the league when it comes to finishing in the box, the positioning, the technique. He goes across the goalkeeper, which is what any youngster should be doing. Well taken.
And then there was plenty more that happened when it was Amazulu up against Magesi. 5-goal thriller. This one turned into Chippa Zeze is the man of the match and the fans voting for him to be that. However, Musadi was involved in so much in this game. He scores, then the deflection at the end of the game that eventually gives them the winning goal.
Yeah, Mokubu gets down the wing and he puts it in a slight deflection from Tetwa. This is a great finish from Musadi. A very poor performance in the first half by Amazulu. but redeemed themselves in the second.
As we continue to look at how the game went, and we see here, beats two men, leaves them on the ground, Allen left for dead, the ball comes out, Sesiani finding the net.
Yeah, we praised him for a great game against Kaizer Chiefs. You can't be conceding goals on that near post. That's your starting point. And when the ball goes in on the near post, we have to question the positioning of the goalkeeper. And in that instance, I think it's not up to standard. You will look at this and be disappointed in himself for conceding that goal.
And then you think Amazulu are dead. They weren't.
Yeah.
They came back and made it 2-2.
This is the ability of Hanamo to sweep these balls in. Very difficult to defend because it was whooped in with pace up and under, and Sitoli getting his debut goal for Shootout.
2-2, and it's all the momentum now Amazulu's way. And it does then eventually look, this game is going to extra time. Free kick, Kutumela tries his best, but can't. And if I had to ask a question here, Kutumela jumps with both his hands behind his back. Does that help?
No, the deflection was going to be there anyway. I don't want to put the blame on him, but Musali puts the ball in. The goalkeeper a little bit flat-footed because he has to change the body weight in that instance. But the defending champions go through.
So that's how it happened. Arrows take on Galaxy. Marumo Gallants take on Stellies. Pirates take on Magesi, the defending champions. And there's something there based on what happened last season.
Are you guys a little bit nervous with that fixture?
And then Richards Bay take on Durban City. Always nervous to go on air for big kind of quarterfinal matches in the Carling knockout. Our viewers are looking forward to those encounters. We're waiting for the dates in terms of when those games are going to take place. Now, it's Zimbabwe, South Africa to go through to the FIFA World Cup. And then on Tuesday, it's the match against Rwanda. Now, what has also happened in the last few days, guys, is that this came out. And let me show you very quickly the brand new ball. Here it is. The Trionda. Do you want to touch it? This is the World Cup ball. This is the ball that South Africa will be kicking at the FIFA World Cup in 2026.
We're definitely qualifying. And Ronan Williams, Sipo Chain, Goss will be making saves from this ball that is being hit at them. Matthew, are you ready?
Congratulations to Amajita, by the way, getting into the last round of 16. Fantastic performance of the young man, and so Bafana are going to emulate them for sure.
The ball launched on Friday. Adidas and FIFA going with technology. There's a chip in the ball. It's going to assist with the World Cup and making sure that offsides and the speed of the ball is judged. And obviously with the colors on the ball, 3 host nations hosting the World Cup. It's the USA, Canada, and Mexico, all represented on this. But now it looks like a bit of a work of art. And I see your makeup on the ball. That header there, very expensive. Thank you very much. And we can't wait. We're hoping that it will be Bafana kicking this ball in North America in 2026. And you see it live on your World of Champions. This has been Extra Time. I'm your jersey number 10. That's Matthew Booth. That's Pomozo Manenze. And thank you at home for being with us. Good night.